Alright, it's time for some more Python. This time we're going to talk about conditionals. That's the cool new thing. And then we'll try and use them a little bit with some shape drawing. Okay, so let's get right on into it with conditionals in Python. So there's another type that I haven't told you about yet that's pretty straightforward. We know what it means, though, already. It's called the bool type. And it holds Boolean expressions. So it holds true and it holds false. Those are actually the only two things it holds. It holds nothing else. Okay? So if I go into idle and I say true, it's capital T, or false, capital F, I can assign them to types. But if I want to figure out the type of this, type of true, it is a bool. That is a special type called bool. Okay? So bool stands for Boolean. George Boole, you remember him, invented Boolean algebra. So it's only got true and false. Those are the only two things of the bool type, but it's super useful, and we will see plenty of reasons why. So we know about bool already. Technically, we already had it from scratch. We've been combining things with ands and ors and things like that. But even though true and false don't seem like a whole lot, how we get to true and false is the cool part. So just like in Scratch, we can use a true or false answer to control the execution of a program. Okay, and that's key. Okay, so do one thing if a result is true, and potentially do a different thing if it's false. Okay, that is the idea of the bool type. So it's allowing you to do this kind of branching. Okay, so you can have something like some value of some Boolean variable. If it's true, go this way. That's a bad true, sorry. If it's true, go this way. If it's false, go this way. And do this code. Otherwise, do this code. And maybe come back together at the end and do some extra code altogether. Okay, so that's where we want to go. Let's start with Boolean expressions. So a Boolean expression is just a fancy word. It's just Python code that gives you back true or false. Okay, so let me show you a few ways to get back true or false. You can say, hey, is x greater than y? That'll give back true or false depending on whether or not x was greater than y. Okay? And let me show you this. So here's x, 42. Y is, let's make it 41. So is x greater than y? Yes, it is. True. Okay? But if I were to make now y, I don't know, 43, is x greater than y now? No, it's false. Okay? So, and similarly with oops, can't spell that right. Greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, you can't type, it's hard to type this, and so you just type a greater than sign and then an equal sign to mean greater than or equal to. So for example, if x is 42 and y is also 42, x is not greater than y, but x is greater than or equal to y. Okay, there's a difference between strictness. This is like strictly greater. This is greater than or equal to. Okay, just normal stuff from math class. And less than, of course. Those are all there. Okay, others. Two equal signs and a not equal sign. So 2 equals sign checks for equality. Not equals checks for disequality. So for example, if I say, right now x and y are both 42, so if I say, is x equal to y? Yes, it's true. Okay, and well, is x not equal to y? No, that's currently false, but if I say y equals y plus 1, oops, and now y is 43 and x is still 42, now this will totally be true. You see that? Checks for disequality. And then we also have and or not. Do combine 2 Boolean values. Okay? So for example, if I had true, or some variable that became true, like, I don't know, x not equal to y, I could AND that with some other value. This will always be false. Okay? So that's something. And of course you can use the normal ones. True and true, true, true or false, true, not true is false, not false is true, just like all of the excuse me, just like all of the tables that we drew out. So you get all this stuff for yourself. One thing that I do want you to watch out for is this double equals, okay? There's a big difference between, hey, is x equal to y, and then, oh yeah, set x equal to y. Okay? This one doesn't give back a value, first of all. That's important. Doesn't give back a Boolean. This one just checks, doesn't change x or y. This one totally changes x to be whatever y was. So now x is 43, because that was what y was before. Okay, so that's going to be a very subtle problem that will haunt you for the rest of your life. Okay? I am sorry to introduce it to you now, but it is a thing. And that now brings us to the bulk of this lecture. The cool thing that I want you to get the hang of, it's an if statement. Okay, so just like in Scratch we had if blocks, you can now have if statements. Okay, and so let me show you what it looks like. So you say in Python, you say if, then you say something that results to true or false, and this is a Boolean expression. Okay, something that becomes true or false, and then you put a colon, and then you tab over. Okay, so this is a tab character, or some spaces, like you need to like indent somehow. And everything that you want to happen, if this was true, you put right here. Okay? Yeah. Stuff, they're all indented. Stuff to do if boolexp is true. Okay, so you can write as many lines as you want. They're all indented with the same indentation level, and all of this stuff gets executed only if this was true. Okay, so it's as if, and then you have the rest of the program unindented. Okay, so if you want to stop, if you want to do normal stuff again outside of this if statement, you'll put more stuff down here. Stuff to do regardless. And there's no indentation anymore. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, so this is a lot. This is what it does. It tests, hey, is the Boolean expression true? If so, it does all the code inside in the indented block. And if it's false, it just continues everything after the indented block. Okay, so that's a lot of diagrams. Let me write a few things, and I'll give you an example. It'll make it very clear. Okay, so an if statement in Python tests a condition. If that condition is true, any indented code gets executed. Okay? And then after the indented code is finished, or if the condition is false, the program continues with the unindented code. Okay, so these are a lot of words. They're about to make sense, I promise, if they don't already. So I'm going to make a new file, and I'll call it if.py. Save it in my documents. I'm going to call it if, and here's what we'll do. I'm going to, I don't know, get a number from a user and test if it's greater than 42. Okay, so let's get a number from a user. So x, we'll call it x. Input, enter a number, space. So now we'll give them a prompt, and then we'll have x set to whatever the user passes along. Then we'll say if int x, because right now x is a string normally when we get it from the input, convert it to an int. If that is greater than 42, we'll say, indented, see, indented a little bit, we'll say your number was greater than 42. And then I can do more things. And then, once I'm done with all the stuff that I want to happen if x is greater than 42, I'll de-indent myself and come back to the outer level where the if was and say whatever I want. This always happens, no matter what. It's not part of the if statement. Okay, so this is a bit of code. Let's walk through it. All right, I'm going to run it. So the first thing it's going to do is ask me to enter a number and store that number into x. Okay, so I'll say 13. Hit enter. And so, hey, was the int form of x, because remember x right now is a string. We've got to convert it to an int. So I say int x, and I check if that's greater than 42. And you'll notice that that's false, which means these lines do not get executed. Now we just go straight down to the de-indented stuff the rest of the program. And those always get executed. Okay, so let me try it again now and give a true case. I'll say, I don't know, 45. And so now it tells me my number is greater than 42, and it does all the code. It executes all of the code that was indented. That was part of the if statement. Okay? So this was true, which means this all executes. Okay? And then, of course, once it's finished, it'll just pop right out and do the rest of its work. That's not a problem. Okay? Hopefully that makes more sense now. And so we call what goes inside, the stuff that gets executed, we call this the body. Okay? It's just terminology. We call this the body of the if statement. Whee. That looks like a psi. Body of the if statement. Okay, that's just the stuff that gets executed, if it's true. Yeah, so that is an if statement. Not too horrible, I hope. Well, maybe we would like to also print out, hey, if it wasn't the case that x was greater than 42, maybe we would like to print that your number was smaller than 42. How can we do both? Okay? And so you're used to this already. You have had an if-else block in Scratch. This is just an if-else statement in Python now. Okay, so this is how it works. You say if, now let's go back to blue. You say if your Boolean expression, I'll call it BEXP, and well, if that's true, you'll have the true case here. You'll give its body. Okay, put whatever you want there. As many lines as you want, as long as they're all indented, of course. And then you'll have an else. So you de-indent, get back on this level for the else, and then you say colon, and then you indent again. And this is the false cases body. Oops. Okay. Hopefully that's not too bad. And then the rest of the code goes here. So if the if case is true, if it evaluates to true, then the true cases body is run. Otherwise, the false cases body is run. And then, of course, we just fall through and start doing the rest of the code down here as well, all the non-indented stuff. Okay, so indentation is key in Python. I want to make sure that that is ingrained in your mind. And so what's happening here is it's looking at BEXP, and it's evaluating it to either true or false. If it's true, we'll do the true case. I'll do that like TC for true case. If it's false, we'll do the false case. And then we'll always do the rest of the code afterward. So they kind of all come together at the end and they do the rest. Okay, and that's the rest of the program down here. All right, hopefully that's not too bad. That's an if-else statement. So let's keep this as it is. Maybe I'll make a new one. I'll call it if-else. .py. And so I guess I can close this one now. What I'll do, enter a number if it's 42, do all this. Okay, else. Otherwise, this case will get executed if int x, this whole test greater than 42, is false. All right? So if it's not true, that means it's less than or equal to, of course. We'll say print your number was less than or equal to 42. Okay, so I'm going to run this, enter a number. I can still do 45, and it's going to say, hey, it's greater than 42, blah, blah, blah. Execute these two lines, then execute these lines. Otherwise, if it's false, it'll jump right here. So if I rerun it, 13, your number is less than or equal to 42, okay? And then we do the rest of the program. And so the one key thing that I want you to notice is only one or the other will ever get executed, okay? Only one case or the other will get executed, never both. Because you can't be greater than 42 and less than or equal to 42 at the same time, of course. All right, so hopefully that's not too bad. And then the last thing that I want to talk about here is if, elif, else statements. So sometimes your conditions get messy. And you can't really do it in just one if-else, okay? You need multiple. If-elses, I guess. So the way that I want to explain this to you is with a running example, and let's do grade calculation. All right, so let's pretend that the user types in their score and we give them back their grade, okay? So for example, like 92.5 is an A. I don't know, 77.5 is a C, of course, and so on. So the user gives us this number, we give them back their letter grade. That's what we want to do, and we have many options. So we need to branch quite a bit. Okay, this is probably going to take 2 slides. The idea is, the first thing that you'll check is, I don't know, x equals, well, how about we call it grade actually. Grade equals input, enter grade. So now we have the grade. Let's convert it to a float, because otherwise it would just be a string. So now we want to compare all these things. And so what we would like to do is the following. We'd like to say, okay, well, if the grade is greater than 90, greater than or equal to 90, I guess, 90.0, then it's an A, print A. And now comes the fun part. Else, well, that wasn't true, so it's not an A. It could be a B, it could be a C, it could be a D, it could be an F. We need to figure out which one it was in here. Oh shoot, we need another if. If, well, if it was not greater than 90, if it wasn't an A, okay, maybe it was a B. Greater than or equal to 80. In that case, we can print B. And okay, if it wasn't that, well, now it could have been a C, a D, or an F. And so I need another if statement. So I'm going to do this to you both ways. So this is one way. This is the way that we know how to do, but there's a new thing called elif that makes it slightly easier. Okay? Look a bit nicer. Sometimes. It doesn't always work, but let me show you when it does. Okay? So let me type this out for you the first way, and we'll do it both ways. Okay? So we'll have the user enter a grade. We'll call this calc grade.py. So input, oops, enter a grade, and then we'll convert it to a float, because everything you get back from input is always a string. So now I've got the grade as a number that I can compare, and now let's figure out what letter it was. So if grade is greater than or equal to 90, you don't have to do 0.0, it just makes it clear that you're comparing floats, I guess. Just a habit of mine, I guess. Print A. Else. Else. If grade is greater than or equal to 80, print B. Else. If grade, because notice, all right, it wasn't an A. Okay, let's see if it was a B. Oh, it wasn't a B. Okay, let's see if it was a C. That's what I'm going. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay, it wasn't a C. Then okay, let's try and see if it was a D. Okay, it wasn't a D, so it must have been an F. Now I don't have any more. Okay, so that is the program, and let's run it now. Enter a grade. Well, okay, let's say if it was 90, 90.1 is still an A, greater than or equal to 90. If it was 90.0, it would also be an A, technically. 90 on the dot, still an A. All right, if it wasn't, maybe it was a C. Okay, let's do 70 something, just to show you all the, I want to show you every case. 72. It's a C. Why? Because it first compares to 90. Okay, that wasn't true, so it tries the whole else case. This is the whole else case. Then it checks, okay, was it greater than or equal to 80? No, this one failed, so I'm going to try the else case for this if, which is this entire thing. Notice the indentation. This is the entire else case. I hope you can see my cursor moving. It's all indented, so this is the whole thing. All right, check if it was greater than or equal to 70. Yes, it was. We're finally done. We can print C. We don't have to do this else case. Okay, so it's only one thing that's ever going to happen. But oh man, is this no fun. It's a lot of indentation. It's kind of ugly. And so, else if solves this problem. Okay? What else if looks like is the following. It's shortened to elif in Python. It's like an else and an if together. All at once. So you kind of do the following, and you can have multiple of them. It'll be like if your bexp is true, do this one. Elif some other bexp is true. Boolean expression. Hey, try that one then. If this one wasn't true, try this one. Maybe it was true. And you can have as many of these as you want. I can say elif bexp 3. Okay, if this one wasn't true either, try this one. All the way down until you have an else. And that's the final case. Okay, nothing was true. Try this one, it wasn't true. Try this one, it wasn't true. Try this one, it wasn't true. Else, okay, try that one. And then that's the body that you execute. Otherwise, try this one. Okay, it wasn't true. Try this one. No, it wasn't true. Try this one. Hey, it was true. I'll do this one body. And then I'm done. Okay, so it's kind of simplifying this process. It's like an else and an if together without indentation anymore. Okay, so let's change it to elifs to get the same result. All right, so the way you do it is you say, all right, if grade greater than or equal to 90, print A, elif. Okay, if that one wasn't true, try this one. And I hope this makes it look a lot cleaner. Print B. And now you don't get runaway indentation. Elif grade is greater than or equal to 70. Print C. And then let me make this easier on myself. All right, if that one wasn't true, try the DU case, and then otherwise try the F case. This is the D case with the 60. Okay, and just to prove to you that they're the same thing, you should see it print the same thing after it executes this one and this one. Okay, there's no difference. It's just saying, all right, first try this one, then try this one, then try this one, and so on. That's essentially what it's saying. Okay. Grade 90, 2 A's, as we expect, 78, and then, I don't know, 42. All right, hopefully that's not too bad. It's just making things a bit cleaner for us. I will always prefer the elif, and I think you will too once you learn how to use it. Okay, so it's just a bunch of else ifs without indentation. Okay, it's like, yeah, try this one, and then continue. Okay, so this whole thing is equivalent to this whole thing. If I can make it bigger, there we go. Now you can see it all at once. Okay, so those are elifs. Not too bad, I hope. And now let's go back to turtles and do some cool stuff there. Okay, so I want to draw with color and shapes. And, well, how do we do that? Let's talk about it. If you go to the documentation page, you go down to color control, you'll see these three functions: color, pen color, and fill color. And color just does both at the same time, so we'll do the others, I think. Turtle.color will set the pen color and the fill color, but we can do both of those separately. Let's do pen color, then the fill color. Okay, so the pen color sets the pen color, the fill color sets the fill color, but what in the world does that even mean? Let's talk about it. Dun dun dun. Lines with color. So turtle.penColor red. Now the turtle draws in red. Turtle, and there's a lot of these implemented already. You give it a string. Pen color blue. Now the turtle draws in blue lines. So after you do this first one, all the lines that the turtle draws are going to look like this. And then the second you say switch to blue, then it'll start drawing with blue. Okay? That's all. So let's go on into this now, because it's not too bad. So let me make a new file called maybe color. Import turtle. And let's make him slow and make him look like a turtle again. I always forget where those are, so let's, I think it's shape. If anything, go back to last time. Shape and speed, I think. So let's make him a turtle. And I think it's slowest as the speed that I want him to draw at. So let's just draw some normal stuff. Let's be like, all right, forward 25 or 50, then 90, forward 50 some more. If I run this, he draws some lines. Let's make him draw in blue now. So turtle dot, what was it? Pen color. Pen color blue. And you can use double quotes or single quotes. Same thing for strings. Blue. So now, when I draw with the turtle, he will draw in blue. He'll draw his lines in blue. So we can say, I don't know, turtle.left 90, turtle.forward 50. Just making a square, don't mind me. Second he does that, he changes to blue. I hope you can see. That's probably very hard to see at the moment. But I promise you, that is a blue line. And that's beautiful. All right, let's bring him all the way home. Let's make it green now. Or something that's probably visible to you. Let's make it red. Let's do all this over again. Boop. Yeah. So we got a blue side and a red side now. Okay. That's fun. That's a lines with color. And let's fill in our lines as well. Okay. So the next thing is fill color. So we can say fill color, and we can set it. Okay. Normally, let's see what the fill color is currently set to. Right now it's black. We can keep it at black, but we can make it violet. Why not? Dun dun dun. So turtle set for our shapes. It's the fill color. So whereas we were setting the color of the lines, the fill color is more like this. If we set it to be green, it's going to fill it in with green. Okay? There. Maybe I should say this, just to make it clear on your page. So let's make a blue. Let's keep our square how it was, but let's also fill it in with green. So way up here, before we start drawing anything, let's say turtle.fillColor green. And now if I run it, oh, darn, it's still white. Why didn't it get filled in? And so there's a little bit more we need to do in order to fill things. Okay? Dun dun dun. Filling, there's some functions associated with filling. And so you have to say begin fill and end fill, because the turtle doesn't know when he should start filling in things. Okay, you just be like, all right, the next thing, turtle.begin fill. Okay, turtle, the next thing, the next shape that I draw, fill it in. And then you do your stuff. Then you say turtle.end fill. Okay? So between every shape, there should always be a begin fill and an end fill. Oops. Just to get you ready for splitting your code up into functions. That's going to be very important. To just always begin fill and end fill more times than you think you need to. Okay? All right, so now if I say begin fill, and then I draw my square as normal, then I say turtle.end fill, this is what happens. Oh man, once he closes it off, he starts filling his stuff in with green. And now that we stopped filling things in, we can have him go forward and it won't get filled in anymore. Nothing else will get filled in. Okay? So it doesn't like make a little triangle of green here or anything. It just stopped our fill because we said end fill. Isn't that cool? So now we can make filled in stuff. And okay, let's make some cool stuff now. And the way that we're going to do it is using Python's random library. I'm going to show you one function and I encourage you to play around. You have to import random, and this gives you random numbers. Pseudo-random, that's a bit beyond the scope of this class, but you can ask me about it if you like in office hours. I'd be happy to tell you what that really means. But I want a random number within a range. Okay? Start and stop range. Okay. So, oh, sorry. No, I want a random integer. My bad. I want a random integer within a range a and b, in between a and b inclusive. Rand range is almost the same, but not quite. I want rand int. So random gives back, gives back a random number. I can like set it to like some number n between two things. Let's say, I don't know, 1 and 100. Okay? Maybe I'll make it 10 so it'll all stay on the same line. So if you call it like this, random.randint 1 to 10, you give back a random number between 1 and 10. You can set that equal to your n and use that. Okay? And I can use that to draw things of different sizes. So I'll tell my turtle to draw a randomly sized square as big or as small as I want. So that's my next project. That's the last thing that I want to show you here. So let's make perfect squares of random size and random location. Okay? So the way we're going to do that is pick a random starting point with the pen up and go there, and then we'll draw a square of a random size. Might not have time to get to the rotation. We'll find out. The first way to pick a random starting point is pick a random x coordinate and a random y coordinate. So we can say random dot rand int, I don't know, negative 300 to 300 or something like that for x and for y. Something like that. And then the square of random size, we'll just pick a random size number. Maybe between 1 and 200. Or 50 and 200. Normal size squares for us today. And let's work on this. This is going to be interesting. It's going to be a larger program in Python, so prepare for that, but it's everything that we know already. Alright, so let's keep most of this. I'll call this random squares.py. And so what I'm going to do is take the pen up and then pick a random spot. So I'll say my x coordinate that I want to move to is random.randint negative 300 to 300. And in order to get all this random stuff, I have to import random for randint. Alright, so that's a random x value. This will be a random y value now. And I need to go there, so turtle.go to xy. And then pick a random size for our square. And so I'll say, what did I call it here? Square side length. (50 to 200). And now I just need to draw the square with that side length. So I'll say turtle.down, and let's do this. Begin fill, because he's going to fill in green, and let's draw our square now. So we say turtle.forward with the side length. And then we have a move by 90. And we're going to do this a few times to draw every side of the square. I'll do this 4 times. Okay. And then we're going to end fill. And turtle. I guess we can save the turtle.up for later. Okay, but hopefully it makes sense to you that this is going to draw a square, and I encourage you to just read it a bit more, take some time, and convince yourself that this will draw a square. Let's test it to make sure it's going to do that right now so I don't eat my words. Nice. So it drew a random square up there. Maybe it was a little too far out of the way. We want to see it always, so maybe we'll make it, I don't know, between negative 200 and 200. How about that? That's a random square right there. Oh man, how cool is that? And that was my random size. And we can say what size we wanted to. We'll say print drawing a random square with size, and then I'll give my square side length. And I'll also get the location. Location X and then a Y. So now it's going to tell me where it's going to do it. So it started at negative 74.8 and drew a 191 size square for us. And this will do it a few times. We'll do it all ways different. And if you repeat this, maybe I'll make it 25 and 150 just so it doesn't get out of hand. Or let's keep it at 200. Who cares? Are you ready? I'm just going to repeat this. So I think it's going to draw 5 now. And all it's doing is picking a random side length and then moving in all these directions to draw a square at that location with that side length. And there might be some overlap, of course. That's not a problem. And so there it goes. And every time you run this program, it'll be different every time because it's gonna pick new ints, pick new random numbers between negative 200 and 200 for its coordinates to start its square, and then random numbers for its side lengths, and things like that. And then we can ask the user, and now the whole key is that I want you to combine your if statements, your conditionals, and this drawing stuff. I don't think I have time to make it rotate by a random amount, unfortunately. But here's what you can do, is you can get numbers from the user and set that to be your fill color. You can ask the user, hey, what do you want the fill color to be? Give them a little space. And then you can set the fill color to be that color. Okay, that's the idea there. And so now we can ask the user, what color should the fill be? Red. Oops. Enter. And now you're going to make a bunch of random red blocks, okay? Because the user typed in that color that they wanted to use. And so with that, I'm going to write up your assignment, which is going to be very similar, but you're going to make it so that you're not allowed to use green, okay? You're going to have to use an if statement, because green is not a creative color. That is a fun video if you haven't seen it. Okay, so I'm going to write this up, and then I'll come back, and that'll be that. Okay, let's start with your programming assignment. It's not too bad. You'll essentially use most of the code that I've written here. But instead of drawing 5 squares, or 4 squares, you will draw 10 triangles. So you'll have to go back to see how I drew triangles if you don't remember. And you should draw 10 of them of random size and location, so just like I did for the squares. You might want to start with equilateral triangles unless you want a challenge. Those will be the easiest to draw from a random spot. And then you have to ask the user what to use for the fill color, just like I did, and then set the fill color with the following caveat. So you have to use a conditional. So you have to disobey the user if they ask you to use green. Okay, so you better check for that. And you can change the fill to be something other than green for that one case. Okay, so you should be able to use most of my square drawing code. So this is just going to be a week-long assignment. Should be pretty quick to do, and then just upload a video as usual. And then that's all you have to do. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. You're gonna draw 10 triangles of random size and location, but you can't draw them with a green fill. So if the user asks you to use green, you have to say, nope, sorry bro, we're going to use red or something. Okay, So that's all, and I'll see you next time.